High up in the mountains, where the peaks touched cotton candy skies, there was a little town called Candystone Village. Every house was painted in the softest colors you could imagine: peppermint pink, lemon yellow, lavender purple, and blueberry blue. Winding cobblestone streets sparkled like spun sugar in the warm afternoon light, and the air always smelled faintly of butterscotch and fresh mountain flowers. In a cozy mint-green cottage at the end of Gumdrop Lane lived two 8-year-old twins named Finn and Fern. Though they were twins, they couldn't have been more different from each other, and that's exactly what made them special. Finn was quiet and thoughtful, with a head full of dreams about stars and distant planets. He loved reading books about space and drawing pictures of rockets in his notebook. Fern, on the other hand, was bold and curious, always the first to climb a tree or explore a new path. She collected interesting rocks and could name every bird that flew over Candystone Village. Some of the other children in town thought it was strange that twins could be so different. But Finn and Fern never minded. They knew that together, they made the perfect team. One gentle evening, as the sun painted the mountains in shades of peach and rose, the twins were exploring their grandmother's dusty old attic. Grandmother Maple had gone to visit a friend, leaving the twins to discover treasures among the forgotten boxes and trunks. Fern pushed aside an old rocking horse while Finn carefully opened a trunk covered in faded stars. Inside, beneath layers of tissue paper, sat the most extraordinary pair of boots either twin had ever seen. The boots shimmered with an otherworldly silver glow, and tiny moons and stars were stitched along the sides with thread that seemed to sparkle on its own. Finn lifted them carefully, and both twins gasped as the boots began to hum a soft, sleepy melody. Tucked inside was a small note written in Grandmother Maple's elegant handwriting. It read, "For dreamers who dare to be themselves, these boots can jump all the way to the moon, but only for those with hearts true and kind." The twins looked at each other with wide, wondering eyes. Finn slipped on the magical boots, which adjusted to fit his feet perfectly. Fern held his hand tightly as he gave a small, experimental hop. Suddenly they were floating gently upward, rising through the attic window and into the cotton candy evening sky. They drifted higher and higher, past the candy-colored rooftops of their village, until they found themselves surrounded by the softest, fluffiest clouds they had ever seen. And that's when they heard voices, gentle, musical voices coming from the clouds themselves. A family of talking clouds floated toward them, their forms shifting like dreams. There was Grandmother Cumulus, round and soft like a pillow, and her 3 cloud children, Wisp, Puff, and little baby Drizzle. "Welcome, young ones," Grandmother Cumulus said in a voice like a gentle breeze. "We've been watching you from up here. We see how different you both are and how wonderfully you work together." Little Drizzle giggled and rained tiny sparkles that tickled the twins' noses. "We've never met humans who weren't trying to be like everyone else," said Wisp shyly. Puff, the boldest of the cloud children, floated close to Fern. "Why don't you try to be the same as your brother?" he asked curiously. Fern smiled warmly. "Because Finn is wonderful at being Finn, and I'm wonderful at being me. If we were the same, we'd only be half as good at solving problems and having adventures." Finn nodded, adding softly, "Fern notices things I miss because she looks at the world differently, and I think of things she doesn't because my mind works its own way." Grandmother Cumulus beamed, her cloudy form glowing with moonlight. The Cloud family invited the twins to float with them toward the moon. As they drifted upward, the moon grew larger and larger, glowing with a gentle silver light that felt like a warm blanket. The surface of the moon was soft and powdery, covered in silver sand that sparkled beneath their feet. "Long ago," Grandmother Cumulus explained, "the moon was lonely. It wanted all the stars to be exactly like it, round and silver. But when it learned to appreciate how different each star was, the whole sky became more beautiful." The twins sat on the soft moon sand, listening carefully. Little drizzle floated down and nestled between Finn and Fern like a cloudy pillow. Being yourself is the greatest superpower, the baby cloud whispered sleepily. Because no one else in the whole universe can be you. Wisp and Puff settled nearby, and even the great silver moon seemed to hum in agreement. Finn looked at his sister, and Fern looked at her brother, and they both understood something important. Their differences weren't something to hide, they were gifts that made everything more magical. The moon began to sing a lullaby, a soft and silvery tune that made the twins' eyelids feel heavy. Grandmother Cumulus wrapped them gently in cloud blankets that felt like the softest hugs. "It's time for you to return home, little ones," she said tenderly. "But remember, whenever you see clouds in the sky, know that we're watching over you, proud of exactly who you are." The magic boots began to glow warmly, and the twins felt themselves floating gently downward, cradled by the loving clouds. They drifted back through the cotton candy sky, past twinkling stars that winked goodnight, and down over the candy-colored rooftops of Candy Stone Village. The boots carried them softly through Grandmother Maple's attic window and set them gently on her old quilted bed. The magical boots slipped off Finn's feet and returned to their trunk, humming their sleepy melody. Outside the window, the Cloud family waved goodbye, their forms glowing softly against the velvet night sky. Finn and Fern snuggled together under a warm patchwork quilt, their eyes growing heavier with each passing moment. "Good night, Fern," Finn whispered, yawning widely. "Good night, Finn," Fern murmured back, her eyes already closing. Outside, the moon smiled down at Candy Stone Village, and somewhere far above, a family of clouds sang the softest lullaby. The twins smiled peacefully, knowing that being themselves was indeed the greatest superpower of all. And with that comforting thought wrapped around them like a blanket, Finn and Fern drifted off into the sweetest, most magical dreams, sleeping soundly until morning light.